Oh my god. Right.
As we travel, if you're far away, through the triumph and struggle, we're there, side by.
Right, I'm not going to lie, I've done this before and I spoke about the game for about 30, 40 minutes, something like that. I went to edit it, looked back at it, and oh my god, I looked depressed and knackered, and there's no way I'm putting that out. So I'm going to drink my third or fourth coffee this morning. Hopefully that gets me in a better position where I'm a wee bit more lively and actually look like I'm really happy that we won last night, because I am, but it didn't look like it in the last lot. So while I drink that, there's a couple of clips that I took of Celtic Park last night. Go and watch that and I'll see you soon.
What's happening, Celtic family? I hope you're all doing well out there. Look, let's begin this as we do normally. If you've not subscribed, please hit the subscribe button below. It's absolutely free to do so, and it helps me grow this channel. So tonight's the night Celtic take on Young Boys, and we all know what's at stake here. We win this, we go through to the next round of the Champions League, and it's been a long time since we've been there. Listen, my son was even saying to me, and I've mentioned this before, he'll be 18 this year, and he can't remember witnessing Celtic get into the next round of the Champions League. So this is massive, and hopefully we get to witness that tonight. But this is absolutely massive for us. Don't get it wrong. Like, we get into the next round of the Champions League, it's already been a successful season for me, but this is just the cherry on the top. The cherry on the top. And it's going to be absolutely electric in there. That atmosphere is going to be phenomenal. But don't get it wrong, Young Boys are no mugs, and they're not going to come here and they're not going to lie down. So it's going to be a tough ask, and I really do think that Young Boys are really going to pile it on and make it difficult for us. But I can't see anything but a Celtic win. I cannot see anything but a Celtic win. But I'm going to take some footage of inside the ground, the atmosphere and everything else, and then probably after that I'll be back at home and I'll do a match reaction of the game.
What a game, what a performance, especially that first half. How good were Celtic? How good were Celtic that first half? Young Boys came out and they pressed us high for the first couple of minutes, and it was nervy. You could feel it inside the stadium, you could see it on the pitch. It was nervy for the first 2 or 3 minutes in that first half. But after the first 2 or 3 minutes, when Celtic kind of got in their rhythm, Celtic took over. Celtic took over, dominated the play. Some of the individual performances, which we will go on about, which we will talk about, some individuals, but as a collective, as a whole, it was an absolutely brilliant, top-notch performance by Celtic. And one of the best performances that I've seen, I'm going to say it, for me personally, one of the best performances as this Celtic team I've seen all season. We absolutely dominated, and the fact that we went in at 0-0 at halftime wasn't a true reflection of that game. Wasn't a true reflection at all. We were absolutely brilliant, and there is some individuals who were phenomenal through that. Phenomenal. But listen, to go in at 0-0 was a bit disheartening. But let's talk about the positions that we got ourselves in, that we should have had 3 or 4 goals in the first half. I mean, Kyogo could have had a hat-trick in that first half, because I have been so quick on here, so quick this season, to say that Kyogo's just not been performing. And listen, I'm not going to take it back. I'm not going to take it back, because I would be contradicting myself, and I do believe that Kyogo has just not maybe been playing as well as we know Kyogo can play this season. But over the last half a dozen games, you've definitely seen Kyogo pick himself up and getting into a wee bit of form. I thought he was brilliant last night. He's doing a lot of not just playing brilliant up front, he's coming back, he's defending, and he's contributing a lot more to the game, which is amazing to see. And he put himself in so many positions last night. He'd obviously scored a couple of goals. I think, was it 2 or 3? I can't remember. I've not even watched it back, and everything feels like an absolute blur. Feels like a blur now. 2 or 3 goals he got anyway. I'm sure it was a hat-trick. But he stayed so composed, and the fact is, it was just probably a wee bit too eager. When them goals were offside, we were probably just a wee bit too eager. But it was great to see. But it was one of them ones. We scored 3 goals in the first half, and you do think for a minute, when you go in at 0-0 at half time, you do think to yourself, is this going to be one of them games? I was thinking that. I was asking people around about me. Ronnie, who sits beside me, I was asking him, and he was like, I just don't know. You know, it's going to come. Surely it's going to come. But it made you think, like, is it going to be one of them games where we just absolutely run right here, it doesn't go our way, and we're going to have to take this to Aston Villa? But listen, it turned out that wasn't the case. But we'll get to that. But some absolutely amazing performances. It really, really was. But instead of just picking them out, let me start from the back. Kasper Schmeichel, right? Let me start right there. As soon as the ball was played, I think he put it out. The first ball that was put back to him, I'm sure he put it out for a throw-in. And you're kind of thinking, he's done this against Kilmarnock last week. He was a bit sloppy in his passes. But throughout the game, the first half he didn't have to do too much. But we'll get into the second half and how he was pivotal in that. But first half, didn't have to do too much, which I was happy about. Defence done their job. And the defence were solid last night. Cameron Carter-Vickers does what Cameron Carter-Vickers does. Sits back there, the most composed person you'll ever see, the most relaxed player you'll ever see, with his smoking jacket, his cigar, and just takes the ball off people. Absolutely brilliant. Austin Trusty came into a bit of scrutiny from me in the Dundee game. Absolutely played his socks off against Kilmarnock. I thought he was solid. And last night, amazing. Had so much heart. Tried to win every ball that he could, in the air, on the ground. Just a brilliant performance. An all-round brilliant performance from Austin Trusty. He really, really does make me feel, with that pairing at the back. And listen, Liam Scales hadn't done anything wrong, I don't think, throughout the season to really be dropped. But when you've got Austin Trusty in there who's performing as well as he's performing, it's hard for Liam Scales to then get in and take that position off Austin Trusty, because the pairing between Cameron Carter-Vickers and Austin Trusty is really, really working. It's fantastic. Greg Taylor out on the left. I thought Greg had a good game. Greg comes in for so much scrutiny. I thought he was brilliant last night. I thought he was really good. Greg does what he does. He gets forward well and he tries to create. Not only that, but I thought last night, a lot of the time, when he is going forward, I think he can get caught out of position a lot. I thought last night he didn't. I thought he was really good. Played some balls in there that were really, really nice. We just needed to get someone on at the end of it. Unfortunately, there was nobody there. But there was a couple of times there was a couple of sloppy passes. Not many, but there was a couple. But again, I thought Greg Taylor had a great game. Over the other side, you've got Alistair Johnston. For me, Alistair Johnston was really quiet last night. I'd said in a previous video that Alistair Johnson really turns up for these occasions. For the big occasions, he really turns up. I thought he was quiet against Kilmarnock. I stated that. And I thought he was quiet again last night. Again, I didn't think he was bad. He'd done what he had to do. He just looked a bit nervous for me. He looked a bit nervous. Every time he got the ball, he was always looking back at Kasper Schmeichel to see if that was the ball that he had to play. Don't get me wrong, he made some runs in behind the defence and was looking for it. But I just thought he was a wee bit quieter. And I don't want to say he played bad, because I don't believe that he did. But I just thought he was a wee bit quieter. Looking on to the midfield. Straight away, the first person I'm going to mention in the midfield, because you have to, and for me, was outstanding. And without a doubt, my man of the match. I don't know who got man of the match. I haven't looked back to see. I haven't watched any highlights. I haven't watched any interviews. I should have watched some highlights, because it almost feels like that game was just a bit of a blur and it just went past so quick. But for me, Callum McGregor was absolutely brilliant. Brilliant. Outstanding. Without a doubt, the best player on that pitch last night. On and off the ball. Always looking to create. Anytime the ball was loose, he was fighting for it. He drove at that defence. Created a lot of problems for them. Not only that, as I said, Callum McGregor's one of these players who you pause the TV and you look for Callum McGregor and he's always in space. Over the last sort of half a dozen games for me, I have been on here and I've stated there's been a bit of a drop off from Callum McGregor. Callum McGregor's never bad, because Callum McGregor is that good that when he's bad, he's just had an alright game. I don't think I'll ever come on here and say he was absolutely terrible. Because he is that good. But last night, he really was that good. She showed so much leadership. And a lot of people do say, Callum McGregor, he's quite quiet as a captain. But that's just the way, and he lets his football do the talking. And I totally get that. Last night, I heard, even within that noise, you could hear Callum McGregor when he was closer up to me. So I'm in the Lisbon Lions stand. And you could hear him dictating where he wanted everybody to be. He was telling everybody what was happening. Phenomenal. Phenomenal. And you'll probably hear that word from me a lot on here, especially when it comes to Callum McGregor. But phenomenal. I thought the guy played absolutely out his skin. Another person that I've been quick to judge. And I have no problem doing that. I have no problem saying that. And I won't take it back, right? Because then I'm totally and utterly contradicting myself. So I won't take it back. But is Rio Hatate. But Rio Hatate last night was back to the Rio Hatate that we all know. And the thing is, when I've came on here and I've slated Rio Hatate, that's the only word I can think of, slated Rio Hatate for just not being good enough this season. I've never ever thought that Rio Hatate doesn't have that player in him. I've always known that player's in Rio Hatate. Always. And I'm not contradicting myself by saying that, because I still believe that he's not had the greatest of seasons. Same with Kyogo. I don't believe Kyogo's had the greatest of seasons, and I was one that shouted for Adam Ida for long enough to get his goal. But Rio Hatate was brilliant last night. The way that guy, and I have said this even when I was slating Rio through this season, the way that guy can dictate how he plays his football or how the game goes is very, very similar to Callum McGregor. And the way that he turns players, I've never seen anything like it. It's phenomenal. Again, that word phenomenal. But it is phenomenal. But some of his balls to break the lines, some of his passing to break the lines last night and get the ball in behind the defenders was so good. So good. So I thought he was brilliant, and he really played a massive part in that. Him and Callum McGregor in the middle of that part really dictated how well that game went last night. But Arne Engels. Now, some points Arne Engels was a wee bit sloppy in his passing. But we can forgive him for that because I thought his work rate was brilliant. Again, another guy was looking to create all the time, and that sort of three in there. And listen, I've you know fine well that I've said on here that I play Bernardo in front of Hatate, and I still, I'm not going to contradict myself, and I still believe that, right? But last night, Hatate, phenomenal. And but Arne Engels in there, Callum McGregor, and Rio Hatate. What a trio that is. Absolute. It was a joy to watch last night. It was an absolute joy to watch them three play last night. Arne Engels, again, as I said, with dead balls, with corners and that, we are looking as a team now, as a Celtic team, we look like we can cause a bit of damage when it comes to set pieces. That's something I've not said about Celtic in a long time. Used to hear people in the stadium, and I never got it, that we would get so excited about getting a corner and like, well, we're not going to do anything with it. Now, Arne Engels can pick out that pass so well, and you can see him, he's looking for the bigger boys in there, he's looking for the trusties, he's looking for Cameron Carter-Vickers who can bully defenders, he's looking for a Liam Scales in there, and it's paid off a few times. I thought Arne Engels was great last night, as I say, a few times, few sloppy passes, but again, we can forgive him for that. So let's talk about the wingers, Daizen Maeda. Daizen Maeda doing what Daizen Maeda does. Causing the defence an absolute nightmare. Getting in behind their defenders. He's either hitting the byline, cuts in the inside. He was brilliant. And it's so hard to say about Daizen because you never slag Daizen off. The guy has got such a big work rate and the best work rate in the team. It's unbelievable. But he was brilliant last night, and I was so disappointed to see that he got sent off in the second half. I've looked back at that. I actually did see that this morning, and it was, for me, it was soft. It was soft. It's a yellow card, 100%. It's a yellow card. For me, it's not a sending off offence. Me personally, it's not a sending off offence, but. We lose him for Aston Villa, which is a shame because, I mean, who are we going to put in there? The only other one we've kind of got is Yang. We've not got James Forrest there, so I actually think that he would have caused a lot of problems for Aston Villa next week, but we've lost him. It's a shame, but what a game he had last night. Really happy with his performance. On the other side, Nicholas Kuhn. Not like me to say this, because Nicholas Kuhn has been probably our best player this year. I think we can probably all agree with that. He's been consistently brilliant. Consistently brilliant. A few times he's maybe been a bit quieter, but he's always created. Last night I thought he was pretty quiet, but I don't know if that was just to do with... He hugged that byline a lot. And, I mean, that left back was massive. That left back, he was a huge big guy. They were a really, really physical team, Young Boys. They really were. I was quite shocked. I'd watched Young Boys on the TV before, but you know yourself, when you see them on the TV, they maybe don't look the way that they did. When they came out, I thought some of these boys could have been rugby players. Some of them were absolutely massive. And they used their physicality to their strength. They really did. And I thought the big left back kind of bullied Kuhn off the ball quite a few times. Thought Kuhn was kind of hiding behind the defender quite a lot, whereas the left back was maybe kind of catching him for pace. He needed to just step in front of him at times. Again, but with Alistair Johnson maybe not playing to the level that we know Alistair Johnson can, I thought he was a bit sloppy and trying to play Nicholas Kuhn the pass. But I thought Kuhn was a wee bit quieter last night. Again, there was nobody on the pitch that had an absolute horrendous performance. I just thought he was a bit quieter. We could have really done with him sort of stepping up to the plate. But again, take nothing away from that big defender, that big left back. He made it very, very difficult for Kuhn. But then we've got Kyogo in the middle of the park. Again, Kyogo got 3 goals and they were all offside. And the first thing that I'd done at halftime, I phoned my father every halftime and every full time. First thing I said to my father, as soon as he picked up the phone, I said to him, was it justified? Was the goals cut off justified? He said yes. absolutely, they were offside. And I've not looked at them back, but I'm going to look at them back. But I absolutely trust my father, so I'm going to assume that they were completely justified. But again, he was relentless in his play, Kyogo. If he's not up front, as I said, he's back defending. He's stepping in front. I thought at some points, just in the early stages, I don't know, he looked a bit shook, but he got into his game. He was then, even the big defenders, he's trying to get in about them. He's a wiry wee guy. He's trying to push them off the ball. But I thought at the beginning, he was kind of, as I said, that young boys team were very physical, and he kind of let that get into his head at the beginning. And then I think he just thought, fuck it, and went for it. So in the second half, we'll talk about it just briefly, because Celtic, I thought, still played well. And the thing is, when you're playing teams in Europe, young boys, I don't care what people say, they've not done well in this competition, they're sitting bottom in the competition. I don't care about all that. Look at the teams that they had to play. They had to play some really, really hard teams. They did not have an easy time of it. But you always knew when they came there, and especially when I seen them come out in the pitch. As I said, I was quite shocked in how big the team was. They were all big boys, and they really, really did impose their physicality on Celtic at times. So we always knew, you've got to know when you're playing at this stage, there's going to be times in the game where you've just got to sit back and you've got to defend, because they're going to have their spell. And they did. And they never really looked to threat Celtic. I didn't feel really that uncomfortable. And I thought when Schmeichel had to make that double save, which, by the way, was an absolute amazing save. Amazing double save. The first save was good enough. He then got up quick enough to make the second save. World class. Absolutely world class. But for me, that kind of came out of nowhere. It kind of came out of nowhere, but sometimes we know that with Celtic, they can have that lapses of concentration in the game, and things like that can go against us. It didn't, because of a Kasper Schmeichel amazing double save, kept us in that game. And we always knew they were going to have that wee spell. They did have that spell. But then we managed to defend really well. We kept composed, the composure throughout the team. We didn't let the atmosphere get to them, because you could feel that it was really tense in there, because everybody was nervous, and rightly so, because we knew what was riding on this game. But they didn't let it get to them. They stayed composed. We took on Bernardo, and we took on Adamida. Gotta be honest, because of current form, I wasn't sure why we were taking on Ida. I thought maybe we'll take on Ida and Kyogo sort of up front, see if we can get this goal. We didn't. We took off Kyogo and we put on Adamida, and I was a wee bit sceptical about it. I thought, I don't know if that's a good change, but as I keep saying, Brendan keeps proving me wrong. I thought Bernardo came in there, and he was fine. He was fine. I love Bernardo. He came in, he done a job. But again, would I took off Engels? I don't know. But we did. And it was probably just to mix it up. It was like for like. Mix it up a bit. Take Engels off. Bernardo's fresh. Stick him in there. And he done a job. And the thing is with Bernardo, what I like about Bernardo, he always looks to run forward. But the ball for the goal. Let's just talk about that just for a sec. What a ball to break the line. What a ball to break the line. And listen, when I just said there, when Ida came on, I did turn round to people round about me and said, now's the time to make himself a hero. You know, if he's been off the boil, we all know that. He's not been scoring goals. If he's really going to stand up and be counted, tonight is the night. And I think, listen, let's take away the goal, because he had to be in that position to make that happen. He was, and what a ball. What a ball to break the line and get it through to Adamida from Rio Atai. Fantastic. Fantastic ball. He takes a shot, the keeper saves it, it hits off the defender, and it goes in the back of the net. But it's no more than what Celtic deserve. Celtic absolutely deserved. We deserve to win that game by more than one, but we'll take one. But we deserve to win that game by more. So Adamida had to be in the right place. He was in the right place, and you could tell he knew what happened with that, but you could tell that if it wasn't for him and he hadn't have played that ball, First of all, Rio Tati playing that phenomenal ball into him, and then him taking that shot at the keeper, then it wouldn't have been a goal. And you could tell by the way that he's ran towards the fans that he's just absolutely delighted that he could make a contribution, and for making a contribution, he certainly did do so. And even before the goal, and even after the goal, I thought he played pretty well. But absolute phenomenal performance from Celtic. I am totally over the moon. As I said, I've done this video before, and it looked like I was depressed because I am so knackered. It took me like an hour to get out from Celtic Park onto the motorway. Then the motorway had 2 lanes shut off. It took me about another hour to get from that off the motorway, and then like just over an hour to get home. So I got home pretty late last night, so I didn't get up till late, which is not like me. I'm an early riser, but I got up late today. I was knackered, and you could definitely see that by the last video. But listen, guys, I'm going to go right now, and let me know in the comment section what you thought about that game. I'm pretty sure you are all absolutely ecstatic about getting through to the playoff, and so am I. I am absolutely ecstatic about it, and I'm ecstatic at the way that we done it, because the scoreline is not a reflection on how that game went. Celtic were absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Let's not get it twisted here. They were absolutely brilliant. And I am confident that we can go to Aston Villa next week and try and get something from the game. It's going to be a tall order and a big ask, right? It is, because Aston Villa are a great side and we're away from home. And but I do believe that if Celtic turn up like that and play that sort of style of football, we will make it very hard for Aston Villa to get anything from the game, to win the game. So I do believe that we can go there and we can get something. But as I said, I'm going to go, guys. Please leave in the comment section what you are thinking about the game, whether you think that I'm talking absolute bollocks and we were terrible. I don't know how anybody can think that, but if you do, please let me know, because it's always good to read your comments. And I'll see you on the next one. Stay safe out there, Celtic family. Hail, hail, and take it easy.